9. The debate on 7-day trading for Toowoomba is set to continue today, and not all traders want it brought in. The Retailers Association is one industry organisation opposed to it. Their executive director is Scott Driscoll, and he's in town talking to members about their concerns. Scott, what are the main reasons why you are against 7-day trading in Toowoomba?
Well, I think it's important to differentiate that we're not in support of Sunday trade and 7-day trade for the major retailers. There, of course, already is 7-day trade and Sunday trade for independent and exempt retailers already, the local family-owned Toowoomba businesses. But what we don't want to see is a further cash grab by the majors that is simply going to force prices up because it's going to drive competition out of the market and basically see the cash taken out of Toowoomba down to Sydney.
But in Toowoomba, we probably do have competition from Brisbane because it's quite easy for people to head to Brisbane for a day of shopping. So isn't already there competition here?
Look, I think people in Toowoomba, local family-owned Toowoomba businesses, have invested in their business, built their business under the current goalposts. I mean, you can cite the fact that Brisbane's down the road. You can cite the fact that, you know, down the road from Brisbane, if you jump in a plane, is Sydney. I don't really think that's relevant. I think what we've got to look at is the current goalposts in Toowoomba have been, and the trading hours laws pertaining to those, have been in place for a very long time, and people have built their businesses around that. And what you've got in a situation in Toowoomba is a very vibrant and a very, very dynamic local independent retail sector that's serving this region extremely well.
What sort of impact could 7-day trading have on local business if it comes in?
Look, we've seen this push right across Queensland by the majors. It's a greedy money grab, and most recently we've seen in Mackay, for example, that community was targeted and attacked by the major duopolies, Coles and Woolworths and Kmart and Big W and the like. What you saw up there, though, was the community have rallied together, and in fact the local Mackay Regional Council took a vote that was very decisive, a 9-1 vote to reject such a push in light of the impact that it will have on community and the local small businesses and consumers. So we don't want to see this sort of thing inflicted on Toowoomba. As I said, we've already got an excellent and vibrant local retail sector in Toowoomba. We don't want to see that harmed and at the expense of consumers when prices are forced up.
But when it comes to consumers, if they didn't want 7-day trading, isn't it up to them just not to go to the big multinationals?
Look, this is a very, very complex issue. There's a lot of very in-depth economic impacts when you're actually opening stores or opening centres. You know, there's a fear factor in there that you'll change shopping patterns. And I mean, what you're going to do is not see additional trade. You'll see shift in trade. And that shift in trade potentially is unsustainable for a lot of the local retailers who are independent retailers who've been serving the community. Now, you just think about it. If there's a local family-owned business and they're already in the business 6 days a week, they're not going to get any more out of the prospect of working 7 days a week. In fact, there'll be less. They'll take a hit. And you'll see not only the owners, you'll see the staff, you will see the families of those staff. I mean, what you're potentially talking about here is affecting thousands and thousands and thousands of Toowoomba people who work and operate within the retail sector.
It could, of course, create more jobs, though.
No, look, plenty of studies show this, in fact, has a negative effect on jobs. It's a bit of a furphy that the majors put out there that it will create more jobs. But, you know, that's not a reality, and we've got a lot of research to back that up. But I tell you what, one of the other things we want to avoid, I mean, Australia as a nation has the highest food inflation rate in the entire Western world. And that is very much because there is an unruly and unhealthy duopoly between the Coles and Woolworths juggernaut. Now, these are the same people that are pushing for an even stronger market share at the expense of local retailers. So that really just brings it right down to basics, that this is all about greed, the potential to destroy a local retail sector that's the independent family businesses, and also to make consumers pay more.
What about the tourist market? There has been an argument that we are in fact losing tourists because when they come here on weekends, they expect the shops to be open like they are in Brisbane, the Gold Coast and other places.
Look, I think the argument that tourists come to Toowoomba to shop, is a bit of a furphy on a Sunday. I mean, I think what you've got, as I said before, you've got an independent retail sector that can and does to a great extent, open on a Sunday already. I mean, if they're looking for to go down to a corner shop and buy the milk, bread and whatever else they might need to get them through to Monday, and it's a tourist, I think they're quite well catered for already in Toowoomba. So, you know, it's not about a greater amenity. What it is about is a greedy push, and this is a very thought out and concerted greedy push by the major multinational retailers to take more money out of Toowoomba and send it down to Sydney.
But shouldn't the local businesses be able to compete with the major multinationals? If they are good enough, they will survive.
It's not as simplistic as saying if they're good enough they'll survive. You've got to remember they invested under the current goalposts. These were the rules. This was what was the landscape when many of these businesses have been built up. I've been talking over the last couple of days to many local Toowoomba-owned businesses in the retail sector, and they are very fearful of this. And I mean, these are successful businesses. These are household names around Toowoomba. These are not people who are in any way wobbly when it comes to running their businesses. These are smart people, and they're fearful of this. And, you know, I listen to them, and I actually take on board greatly. And I also take on board all the experiences we've had right across Queensland over many years when these pushes have been on by the majors.
Scott Driscoll, thank you very much for your time and input this morning.
No problem, thanks.
Executive Director of the Retailers Association, talking to us about 7-day trading in the Garden City.